Let's shift our attention now to international news. Bears, the race to the White House is in its final leg. Just 5 days are left for the election day and the political battle is heating up. The contenders are holding back-to-back rallies and ensuing scathing attacks on each other. In the latest instance, both Kamala Harris as well as Donald Trump campaigned in Wisconsin, making some blistering remarks on each other's campaign. Meanwhile, the vice presidential contenders, J.D. Vance as well as Tim Walz, also fired salvos at each other over their respective ideologies. Let's take a look at some of the reactions that are trending in the run-up to the November 5th elections.
This week, Kamala has been comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. And now, speaking on a call for her campaign last night, Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. And they mean it, even though without question my supporters are far higher quality than Crooked Joe or Lion Kamala. My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. You just can't. And you can't be president if you hate the American people. And there's a lot of hatred there.
Donald Trump intends to use the United States military against American citizens who simply disagree with him. People he calls, quote, the enemy from within. America, this is not a candidate for president who is thinking about how to make your life better. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power.
What would you expect from a guy who claims to be a great businessman, but drove all of his companies into the ground and declared bankruptcy 6 times? It's last 7 days. There's no time to mince words on this. Let's be clear with folks on this. Donald Trump is a loser, and that's what we need to start with.
The best way to advance America's interests is, yes, to build a strong military, and yes, to be willing to use it when we have to, but also to engage in diplomacy. Why have a military if you're never going to engage in diplomacy? Why always use your fellow citizens, as Tulsi said, as cannon fodder? Why not instead actually communicate from time to time? You might save the lives of your citizens and prevent a bigger disaster down.
Look, voting affects everybody, but it especially affects you. So if you want your life and your future to look better, you gotta vote. Because in this election, every issue you can possibly care about is on the ballot. Our vote is our voice. It is our power. It is the key to our ability to express ourselves and build the community and the country we want to live in.
And well, as the election day nears, Times Now spoke exclusively to the U.S. Ambassador to India, Eric Garcetti, about his expectations from the polls and the impact of the mandate on India.
You know, the U.S. election results, a historic moment in American politics, is just days away. What should India be looking forward to? How is the fight to the white race there?
Well, I think India is going to win no matter what, because whether it's been a Republican or a Democrat in the White House and Congress, we love India, India loves us, and every leader has taken it to a new level. Of course, we also have an Indian-American candidate, so we could see the daughter of an Indian immigrant become the president, but also you have a former president who is very pro-India. So I think India wins no matter what, but there is that tantalizing opportunity. You know, you've been in the UK with an Indian prime minister, Ireland with an Indian prime minister. Perhaps we could have our first Indian-American president.
You know, Donald Trump has been quite vocal about tariffs. Specifically, you know, tariffs are imposed in India, and he says if he comes back to power, he's going to reciprocate. How do we see that?
You know, I think it's so important for us to have fewer barriers between our countries. A lot of my work as ambassadors, how can we set up a trusted technology and trade corridor where we don't put up barriers and you don't put up barriers, and our companies can come together to really solve the future together. So without getting political, because I'm a diplomat, hopefully we can see trade expand even more. We're your #1 trading partner right now. That's historic. And I would hate to see us go backwards. I think the future is in moving forward.